Jagged Alliance 3 finally a worthy successor to this mercenary strategy series, which has also produced so many flops in the meantime. Finally a great game. It releases July 14th, 2023. I was able to play it long before, but I worked out a whole bunch of things where I thought to myself, oh, if I had known that before, right at the beginning of a game, when you're putting together your team of mercenaries and you don't really know yet what matters, if I had known these things beforehand, that would have been very useful. Here are my tips for getting started in the game. But first of all, what can you expect in Jagged Alliance 3? An atmospherically breathtaking, thrilling and funny game. An incredibly complex title that explains everything well, but you still have to really dig into it. A game that has a lot to tell, where you'll experience despair, a branching story and interesting characters. And yet it still has a high replay value, because with each playthrough, you recruit a different team of specialists, allowing you to try out new tactics without spoiling anything important. That's your challenge. At the beginning of the 20th century, a client from distant Africa contacts you. Emma Lafontaine asks you to recruit a small, battle-hardened group of mercenaries to rescue her father, the president of the state. He was captured by a paramilitary organization known as the Legion and their mysterious leader, the Major. The Legion has occupied the country's rich diamond mines and is looting them. You initially recruit your squad members online via a mercenary website. You have to pay your people out of your own pocket on a daily basis, but in return, you keep all the loot you take from the Legion. Additionally, you and the President's daughter are supported by the mining corporation that legally owns the mines. While your operation is running, you may keep the profits from any diamond deposits you forcibly take from the Legion, pocket them to cover your expenses. The strategy map shows your whole area of operations. You start on a small island in the southwest of the map, which you explore and liberate as part of the tutorial. Later, you'll move over to the mainland. There you can freely decide how and where to proceed, and whether you might want to assemble a second mercenary group to march and strike separately. Of course, that's only if you can afford it. You can zoom into the respective map square with your squads to explore it, meet non-player characters, or fight your enemies. All of this takes place in real-time mode, which you can pause at any time to calmly issue your commands. Real-time mode stops when a battle starts, switching to turn-based tactics. When you zoom in, no calendar time passes, so you can do whatever you want at your own pace. Only on the large strategy map after zooming out do the days pass, and only then when you release the pause button. In the turn-based tactical battles, you move your people first, then the enemy moves theirs. Every action costs action points, and how you spend them is entirely up to you. You can move the first mercenary forward, then have the second one throw a knife, then continue with the first one using his remaining action points, and so on. When shooting, you can usually choose which body part you want to aim at. The torso is the easiest to hit. Your opponent is crouching behind a low wall. Aim for the head at the top. If it's protected by a helmet, target the foot at the bottom. Now finally, onto my specific tips. Chapter number 1, assembling your mercenaries at the start of a match. You can see the mercenary website at the top. 4 tabs. Recruit, Veteran, Elite and Legendary. Mercenaries get pricier and stronger from left to right. You always see a name and below it a class with a symbol. For example, Tech would be an indication that it's a mechanic, likely with good stats in technical skills. Beside it, a name such as Medic. Individual stats are shown on the right side. There are 10, including health, agility, dexterity and more. A tooltip explains to you what that means specifically, and these values range from 0 to 100. On the left, under the portrait, you can see a dollar amount that you would have to pay if you hire this mercenary for 7 days. You can also hire them for a shorter period or for a longer one. 14 days is the maximum possible. On the right, you can also see special individual advantages that they bring. The higher the class the people are in, the more additional benefits you can get from these people. These are special skills they have acquired, and below that you can see the equipment they start with. Later in the game, you can also equip them with other items that you either loot, for example, by taking them from dead enemies, or that you buy in cities, outposts, or wherever else. In the backpack, you can see certain equipment items that your people are equipped with at the beginning. These are usually used up, and later you'll have to assign new ones anyway. Using contact, you reach the mercenaries and start negotiating. Sometimes there are positive events, sometimes negative ones, which can make the prices go a bit higher or a bit lower. It can also happen that people you contact say, "I don't want to get in touch with you right now," or that they demand higher prices, so the ones who are actually listed there. Each match starts with different people online and offline. The more expensive it is and the better the people, the more likely they are to be offline. And the lower you are, the higher the chance that they're online. But even there, it's not like all the people are always available for every party run. Every time it's a different selection. And those are my tips. Tip number 1, don't focus on the top levels. Recruit, veteran, elite, legendary, those are just rough indicators of whether someone you can recruit is better or worse. The numerical values on the right are what matter most. What matters is whether the person you want to bring into your squad actually fits in. Fits your playstyle, fits the composition of your squad, fits how you like to act, what your squad is still missing, which skills you want to add. If you're a soccer coach, for example, of a Bundesliga team, and you're offered a left winger for your squad, but you already have a left winger, or maybe you don't even want to play down the wings, but prefer to play through the middle, then you probably won't sign this left winger just because it says top footballer. Always look at the stats and then decide. Tip number 2, don't focus on the classes. For example, if you pick something up on the internet or somewhere else, someone yelling that you need a healer doesn't always mean you need a medic, or that you should listen if someone yells at you. If someone tells you that you absolutely have to get a mechanic, that doesn't necessarily mean you really need to get a technician. Depending on how you're set up at the moment, you can also get these skills in other ways. Because what's important, for example, is that a technician is trained in technology while a doctor is trained in medicine. If you don't currently have anyone available online or offline who fits well into your team, then you don't necessarily have to bring a doctor along. The doctor is great here, even if you might think, "I actually don't feel like dealing with that." Tinker around, experiment, try to get it through other ways instead. It's all good. You are the ones who make the decisions in the end, not some people doing things on the internet. No copying unless the tips come from me. Tip number 3. When recruiting, do you tend to get every mercenary for 7 days? Simply because that's the standard time unit that's listed everywhere, I would recommend, if you can afford it financially, to make it 14 days as long as possible. Simple reason here, using Steroid as an example, we get in touch with him, he sees 7 days would cost $5,100, twice as long. 14 days should then be $10,200, but actually it's only $8,400. With each additional day someone is recruited, the price per day drops significantly. There's also the following. In many cases, as you can see here with the example of Livewire, there's only one insurance premium in addition. That's a fixed amount you have to pay. It's basically like a deposit you give in advance. You get it back when you return Livewire in perfect condition at the end of the contract period. You get part of the deposit back if you return her in reasonably good condition, and you don't get the deposit back at all if she's seriously injured at the end. And you definitely don't get it back if she's dead. Tip 4. You can cheat there too. My recommendation would be to bring all the mercenaries you hire onto the team, preferably at the end of their contract period. If someone has a deposit, heal them and take your time. It's still part of tip 4. It's much easier for you if you recruit all your people for the same amount of time, for example, all for 14 days, because then you can time it on the strategy map so that at the end of the contract period, maybe 2 days before it expires, You take a rest, heal all your people, so that you actually finish everyone at the same time. For those returning cautiously, timing is even easier if everyone has the same contract duration, and if it's a long contract duration, because you always have to heal. With the 7-day contract, healing might take more time overall when you calculate it over the entire duration than doing it only once at the end. I just told you to pay close attention to the specific values. There are 10 of them. If you're wondering what's actually the most important value, I don't want to avoid giving a recommendation. Definitely flexibility, the second value. It'll also be shown to you again in the tooltip. The crucial thing is, in turn-based tactical battles, every single unit has action points. You do everything with action points. You move, you shoot, and you can increase your accuracy if you use action points. At the end, you can even decide whether to crouch or lie down so that you're harder to hit. That also costs action points. The more action points you have, the better your people come out of encounters, the farther they can move, get into better shooting positions, the more often they can shoot or throw knives or grenades, and the better they can aim. The key stat is agility. Most of you will probably take out your opponents with firearms aiming down the sights. You'll be shooting from a distance or up close, definitely with a gun in your hand if that's the case. Tip number 6 is the second most important stat for you. Accuracy, as you can see above. The higher your accuracy, the better your shots will land. Your target then, there's also a second stat that's important but not quite as important, and that's dexterity. Because you can invest any leftover action points to aim more precisely. That means you can target a specific body part of your opponent. Accuracy, high accuracy means you're more likely to hit, and then you can also invest any leftover action points into a single shot. To zoom in even closer on the target, and this zooming in, this precise aiming at the opponent, becomes more efficient the higher your people's dexterity value is. If you value shooting, accuracy is usually most important for standard attacks, with dexterity second. Now for the specialist. Specialist number 1. You should definitely have a medic or a doctor with you, someone who can patch up your people on the battlefield if they're bleeding and might die soon. Unless you rush over quickly and help them, then you need someone with a high medicine skill. You can see it at the bottom right. And you'll often hear on the internet that you definitely need to have a medic with you. My tip number 7. You need 2 medics, a main medic and another one who can help, at least with a mediocre medicine skill in case the main medic is unconscious. If he took a bullet between the ribs, lying there bleeding or unconscious. Who will help him then if he's about to bleed out? Your backup medic? Additionally, you also have the option available to you on the strategy map, that is, on the large zoomed out map, not just waiting until you regain health points over time, but also performing a special healing operation. That costs time and therefore money, and of course it's much more efficient if you have a good medic with you. But watch out, here's a pro tip, people can't heal themselves during this. During operations, one person is always assigned to heal and one or more to be healed. And you can't use your medic as both the healer and the one being healed at the same time. So if your only medic is seriously wounded in battle, and you want to make sure that he gets patched up quickly on the strategy map, then you need someone else with good medical skills, otherwise nothing will happen. Tip number 8. The same goes for the technician who you should have on your team. This value up here is mainly crucial for keeping your equipment in good condition. Because weapons wear out when you use them, unless you're throwing grenades. Those are of course gone afterwards. Usually weapons wear out and armor wears out too, like the bulletproof vest, among others. With every hit or every use it gets a little damaged and needs to be maintained. Over time you'll loot, you'll be able to take lots of equipment from your enemies or buy it somewhere. That makes up for it a little bit, but it's really important to keep repairing. At least one technician, and ideally someone else with at least decent technical skills, should be on your team, in case the medic technician, for example, has just been seriously wounded. If, during combat or on the strategy map, your medic is currently patching someone up, you'll be glad to have a second person on the team with at least decent technical skills. Speaking of grenades, tip number 9. You need someone on your team with a good explosive skill. That's the value down here, the second one from the bottom right, and you really need it. You'll probably hear this all the time on the internet, especially for throwing grenades into crowds. Because it's actually true that there's a certain probability involved. If people throwing grenades don't have good explosive skills, they might throw grenades incorrectly, they could bounce off something, roll back to you for example, or land far from the target. The first one is obviously especially unpleasant. If the grenade you threw ends up at your feet, that can get a bit uncomfortable. But I think something else is even more important. You need at least one. One is enough. One person in your squad who is with you when exploring the map, and thanks to his high explosive skill, finds mines or other explosive traps, he's the one who detects them. Otherwise, you'll just run over them and get blown to pieces. And then he has the ability after detecting them to go there and disarm them. And when you've disarmed a mine, you then loot certain goods that you can use to repair your equipment or put to clever use in other ways. One is enough, but one is worth gold in the team. That's already tip number 10. You need someone on your team with a good wisdom score. That's the value down here in the front. On the one hand, it's always good when people have a good wisdom score, assuming you want to keep them on the team longer. Thanks to a high wisdom score, people learn faster, allowing them to collect experience points and gradually improve their skills. It doesn't matter if you know I've recruited someone, and I don't want to have them by my side all the time anyway, and I'm not sure. But if you think you want to have someone with you all the time, a high wisdom score is good, but what's much more important is that person number 10 should definitely have a really good wisdom score. Because when you're exploring the tactical maps, thanks to the wisdom score, you'll find healing herbs, for example, or other items lying around in the area, which you can then loot. You're constantly short on cash, and it's really good to have healing herbs, which you need to refill your medkits. After use, when you find them while moving around the map, for example, or all the other stuff that's hidden on the maps. And thanks to a high wisdom stat, you can also detect hidden and camouflaged enemies, and possibly avoid walking into a deadly trap. So, to quickly recap, the most important stat in the game out of the 10 is definitely agility. The more action points you have, the better. The second most important stat, if you want to shoot at people a lot, at your enemies, is accuracy. If you really work a lot with firearms, the third most important stat is dexterity, because it allows you to aim more efficiently. Then you need someone with a high healing stat, and a second person with a reasonably good healing stat. If the healer is lying dying in the grass, then you need someone with a high-tech stat to repair your equipment, and if possible, a second person with a medium-tech stat. Then you need someone with a high explosive stat, so you don't step on mines and can properly defuse any mines you find. And you need a person with a high wisdom stat so you can find hidden items and hidden enemies on the map. There are a few other things that are also quite useful. The game is super complex, everyone swears by something different. It's not wrong to have someone with a high leadership stat. Then you can have militias or auxiliary soldiers find your base faster. Next is the health stat in the game. The higher it is, the more hit points you get and you won't die as fast. A few people need strength stats to ensure this. If you can't carry a lot of items around with you, but you have to focus on something. A few points are especially important, those are the ones I just mentioned to you. Otherwise, when putting your team together, you can see if you can make your team bonuses as diverse as possible. These character traits on the right. Whether someone crosses over by ship from the mainland to the island or back again, whether you have to pay little money for it or if other dialogue options are available in the game, these are all things that aren't central. But if you're putting your team together at the end, make sure to pay attention to a variety of special abilities to piece them together a bit. That would be my tip. Make sure you cover all kinds of things in a diverse way. Last tip, you can only recruit your own character. You do that by clicking up here. It's a bit hidden. For example, at the start you can fill out a questionnaire, you can set a personal one, or simply use an X-based password that's preset. You can take a personality test or do it manually, or tune it. And here you can spend a set number of attribute points to create your own character. You don't have to pay for it continuously, you only have to pay once. I had to pay a premium, which is almost $7,000. And then you can create a character of your choice and you have them with you the whole time. That's basically your avatar. At the top you have 6 portraits available. That's just a little gimmick. You can choose any person you want. You can choose a name and a nickname. And there you can put together what I just recommended to you. So a lot of mobility, and follow my other tips as well, and at the same time. That would be my very last tip here. Complete the remaining gaps. So if you notice, I didn't manage to get someone I think is cool, who seems cool as a doctor, or who seems like an explosives expert. Here you can make sure that it works out, or if you've put everything together well and all the specialists are covered, then make the ultimate fighter here someone who acquires knowledge very quickly with a high wisdom score. Then you keep leveling up all the time. Someone who has great agility, great accuracy, great dexterity, then you have the ultimate fighter. That would be a fantastic thing. I hope I was able to be helpful. I hope I could help you if you want to get the game. Just a reminder, in the text description you'll find the link to Games Planet and the coupon code that works there and gives you a nice discount. I'll also be streaming the game on Twitch and the recordings will be on YouTube. It all starts on the 13th, July 13th from 3 post-meridium on Twitch and then for 4 days. All dates in the Twitch link are listed below. And even weeks later the game will still be a huge topic for me. I hope you find it, have a lot of fun yourselves, I definitely am. Take good care of your mercenaries, your money, get yourself some diamonds, and above all, have a lot of fun with this wonderful game.